Hello. Well, my doctor told me to write the stuff down. I know, pretty cliché, but this isn't what you think it is. This is different, and I'm certain I'm not an insane intern who decided to interact with things she really shouldn't have had. Okay, maybe I did take some pretty unnecessary risks. I should introduce myself. The name's Rainie Light. I work for a company that studies strange places, or at least I think I do. I'm never quite sure of it. It's called Watchtower 7, and chances are you've never even heard of it. I think it's because it doesn't exist. Or at least, to you, it doesn't. It's a weird place, Watchtower 7. I heard from my team's leader that Watchtower 7 is only one of 18 different towers documenting strange places. Weirdly, they're all still called Watchtower 7, just with letters. Mine is called 7C. We're part of something bigger, but I'm not even sure of that. Watchtower 7, as I've heard through the company audio logs, isn't even its actual name. Nobody knows its true name, and I don't know the reason behind the 7, so I'll stick to calling it the Watchtower. So, I'm an intern here. This place doesn't usually take interns, but apparently someone got an invitation to work here mixed up, and it ended up being sent to me. The team leader felt bad for me, and so she invited me into the team. Since I didn't really get any true proper training, the team's doctor, a person named Quint Mognis, just told me to write down everything I experienced. And so, here it is. I trust them fully, of course. Their eyes just have a certain glow to it. Mesmerizing, even. So, I guess I'll be telling what happened today. The team consisted of 5 people in total, but only 3 went on the mission. The leader, whose name is Cassie White, a recent transfer from another place, whose name is Canopy Hydrangea, and me, good old Rainie Light. We were sent with a team van to a house in the middle of some gated community. I can't tell you where it is, because according to company protocol, Cassie's required to blindfold us all or give us sedatives. So we all ended up in this really nice place, with the solid greens and blues of the sprawling community, with people walking around, greeting us. We parked outside one of the houses around the corner, and it was just next to a playground that looked empty and rusted, a strange contrast to the lively and bright place that the neighbourhood was. "Alright team, listen up," Cassie announced, bringing the attention of me and Canopy. "We're investigating something inside this house. The Watchtower's even provided us a list of rules. Read them." And so we did. Rule 1. In this mission, you will be investigating strange sightings inside the topmost room of a house. While the house may look new, it isn't. It's been long abandoned, and we have no explanation as to how it looks so fresh and clean. You must ignore the smell of fresh paint and the new smell of the house. If you acknowledge the newness of the house, leave immediately and close your eyes for 15 seconds. Nothing more and nothing less. Rule 2. You will be split into 2 teams. One of you will stay back at the van to communicate, while the other 2 will investigate. In your exploration of the house, you may suddenly feel as if something is behind you. Do not turn around. At certain points in the mansion, the person watching you through your body cameras may see people that can't be seen by the away team. If so, reboot the software immediately. Rule 3. There may be a man in a dark suit and a tie, waiting at the entrance. He wears a black fedora and will try to get your attention. Do not talk to him or even look at him longer than exactly 8.66 seconds. Rule 4. There is a miniature figure of a gramophone you will have to recover. It is somewhere in the house. It will play music as you near it, and you must put on your company-issued headphones. When the music begins playing, the person in the van may hear your voice talk to them and tell them that they need to enter the house. Do not listen. Rule 5. Every few minutes, you will repeat a code to ensure that the two groups are communicating. The one in the van will say, "How is the sea?" and the team inside will respond with, "It is life." Rule 6. All doors should be unlocked. If a door is locked, do not try to break in the door. Wait for a moment, explore another room, then check back. If there are mannequins in the room, close it. If not, you may enter. When leaving a room, lock the door behind you. "Read it," I exclaimed. "So, who wants to go in?" Cassie asked. "Any volunteers?" There were none. "Rock, paper, scissors," I suggested. "Fun," Canopy murmured. The game was short, and Canopy, with his mysterious luck, managed to win. So me and Cassie went up to the doorway. "Do we ring the bell?" I asked, trying the handle as I spoke, not really caring. The door, however, was locked. Cassie shrugged and tried to break the door in. Unsurprisingly, it didn't work. Cassie was strong, but apparently this was one weird door. So I pressed the doorbell, causing this ancient-sounding chime to ring out. It was like I was transported to a century I never knew. I heard the ancient song of birds, of quiet church music, and the door swung open, revealing the man in the dark suit and black fedora. We quietly made our way past him and into the house, turning on our body cameras as we did so. "Hey, what are you doing in my house? Talk to me!" I began to speak, forgetting the strange rules for a moment, but the ever-alert Cassie put a hand on my lips. I remained silent, ignoring the man. "Wait, I know you," the man spoke. "Cassie White and Rainie Light. Those rhyme. Hey, talk to me." We made our way to the staircase, which was large, and it was one of those old fancy types that spiraled. It was then that I realised how gigantic the house, no, the mansion, was. But something still wasn't right about it. Everything was way too large, and there was no way the staircase should even fit. As I looked around, it finally occurred to me that somehow the house was bigger on the inside. As soon as we both passed the 7th step of the staircase, we no longer heard the shouting of the dark-suited man. My radio crackled to life, with Canopy saying the first part of the code sentence. "How is the sea?" "It is life," I replied. "Good. I'll say it again soon. I've got to reboot the software," Canopy informed. That meant Canopy had seen the people who weren't there. Later, Canopy told us about a strange man ahead of us, walking the stairs, but just looking over his shoulder to watch us. Once we reached the 2nd floor, we heard this strange noise, like music. It was a sweet, mesmerising song, some sort of ancient opera I could have swore I'd heard once before, but I just couldn't place it. Cassie, once we were out of the house, told me it had the same effect on her. "Headphones," Cassie ordered. "Headphones," I agreed, pulling mine out and putting it on. The headphones, when we put them on, made a low whine, barely noticeable, but it was there. It seemed to counter the music, making it discordant and off somehow, like it wasn't real music, as if it was something pretending to be music. The music was everywhere around us, and we couldn't pinpoint where it was coming from. I suggested it might be the gramophone we were looking for, and so the two of us began to search. "How is the sea?" Canopy questioned. "It is life," I finished. There were 6 rooms on the floor, and we started off with the room, the most left of them all. The door was a bright red like blood, but it was lighter somehow, more alive, vibrant. There were strange symbols all over it, and whenever I focused on them, they seemed to wiggle and shrink away. Cassie turned the handle, opening the door. Inside, there was a bed, 3 toy giraffes sitting on the floor in a triangle, and a couple of cabinets. We checked the room. No gramophone. I made sure to lock the door behind us as we left, remembering the rules. The room next to it had a door that was painted blue, and on it was a door handle which had the face of a butterfly. I tried opening the door to find that it was locked, Remembering the rules, we explored the next room, which had a bright pink door, so bright it almost hurt to look at. Inside were nothing but boxes and a table with a strange diorama neatly placed atop it. It was of a ship sailing in the ocean, except that there was a larger stone pyramid in the centre of the boat. Still, no gramophone was to be found. We left, and I locked the door. Cassie turned the handle of the locked door, and it swung open. I jumped and gasped when I saw what was inside. Mannequins everywhere, all with their backs towards us. They all were wearing clothes and glasses, and all sorts of outfits, as if we were in a store. But something was deathly wrong about how they were placed. They seemed to be in a circle, and in the centre of the mannequins was a coffin. I'd heard rumours of other agents of the Watchtower encounter bizarre mannequins with coffins before. Canopy once told me a friend of his got sent on a solo mission to take a coffin back. Canopy said that the mission went smoothly, and the coffin was soon transported through the back of a company truck. His friend, the driver, checked in at the proper times and locations. But when the driver arrived at the Watchtower storage unit, the gatekeepers noticed that the truck had stopped just outside the gates of the facility. They radioed the driver to head in, but they got no answer. Soon, other trucks would be arriving at the storage facility, and one of the gatekeepers went up to check on the truck. When she got there, she found the truck's windows fogged up, which was impossible as the day had been cool yet sunny. She knocked, but nobody answered. She radioed back and was given permission to use the master key to open the truck. The key didn't work, and soon she was sent a small team who helped her open the truck. When they did, they all jumped in panic and fear at the sight that awaited them. It was a mannequin at the wheel, sitting down as if there was nothing about it that defied logic. The coffin was still in the truck, and it was sent to storage with no further incidents, and the mannequin at the wheel? Well, it was also sent to the facility, only to disappear exactly 5 days later. Sometimes, Canopy would say, when once he roamed the area where the coffin was kept, he could almost hear the voice of his friend asking for help. Me and Cassie closed that door as soon as we saw it. We went to the fourth door, which was painted a nice jungle green. Inside, we found what we were looking for, the small toy gramophone, which sat on top of a single table in the centre of the room. As soon as I touched it and put it into my backpack, the music abruptly stopped with a discordant crash. We both took off our headphones and smiled at the victory. The two of us went up the stairs to the final, topmost room of the house, which was where we were supposed to investigate strange sightings. According to the notes I had read earlier the day before, a group of teens had broken into the house and were fooling around when one of them heard thumping in the topmost room, and, when the thumps ended, they saw shadows begin to move all around them. The topmost room was a grand one, painted a rich, deep brown and black, a stark and confusing contrast to the light blues and greens of the rest of the house. It seemed far older, like it was built a long, long time ago. There was a piano in the corner of the room, and I could almost hear a strange tune being played, even though there was nobody there to play it. The rest of the room was strange. There was a bed, but it was clean, and when I inspected it, I found a price tag that told me it was new and only a week old. That's when we heard a loud thump coming from the door, which we had closed behind us. Someone, or something, was kicking it. Thump! It repeated a few more times with no sense of rhythm, and me and Cassie stayed silent, hoping whatever was out there would ignore us. When it stopped and we calmed down, I noticed a stack of notebooks on top of a high shelf. Cassie, who was far taller than me, took the notebooks down, and together we turned the first page. The entire page was covered in sentences, but as we read each of the dotted lines, They all said a single phrase. "The wall people don't like you," in small, tiny handwriting. The next page was the same, and the next, and the next. I flipped through the book until I saw a page that looked different. The first half of it was dotted by the bizarre sentence, but the bottom half a messy drawing of what seemed to be a room, and in that room was a bed, with a person sleeping inside it. But what confused us the most were these incredibly detailed drawings of eyes on the walls that seemed to all watch the child in the bed. It was mesmerizing, and both me and Cassie kept staring at it, hoping to get some information from the "How is the sea?" Canopy questioned, breaking us from our trance. "It is life," Cassie responded, her voice shaking. "You sound scared. What happened?" "I'll tell you later," I promised. Back at our watchtower's dinner table, we would often trade horror stories. "I'll remember that." Cassie and I decided to leave, but not before taking the notebooks as evidence and snapping a dozen or so photos. However, as we passed the door where the mannequins had been, I heard muffled words and decided to investigate. I held my ear to the door, but I couldn't make out the conversation, besides that it was an argument. It seemed to me that there was the voice of a child's, a woman's, and a man's, all shouting and yelling. It felt eerily familiar, like I had seen it on TV somewhere. I noticed the woman's voice grow louder, and then I heard a loud bang, a gunshot. Then I heard nothing else from the room. I told Cassie what I'd heard, but she said we shouldn't investigate, that it might be too risky. So we went down the stairs and left with no further occurrences. Inside, Canopy told us that he had heard voices that sounded like us tell him to enter the house, but they wouldn't say the code words. He had needed to reset his radio a few times before being able to contact us. And so, we were done. We had this strange tiny gramophone, some strange journals, and photos of the room where we found them. We, it seemed, were done. Later in the day, at dinner, when we were all back in our home, Watchtower 7C, a house near the sea with a lighthouse next to it, Canopy told us a rumour he had heard about a similar gramophone found by another team. He said a friend of a friend had forgotten to wear headphones, but didn't see any effect to it. However, days after the mission, the man had complained about hearing music, and that he was trying to find out what it was called. A week passed where the man didn't report to work, and the team leader found his apartment. She found the door strangely open, and inside, she saw the man dead, and next to him were sheets of handwritten music that had splatters of red, crimson blood. They never did find an official cause of the death, but his journals all spoke of something trying to kill him, something that he claimed was living inside the very walls of his house. And so, I'm Rainie Light, and welcome to the Watchtower.